Hello everyone, welcome to a Minecraft science video. Today we're looking at spawn chunks, how they work and what their uses are. And this is just one little bugs that comes with them. As you can see, creepers come out of nowhere, which is pretty cool. So, off to show you the very basics first of all. Okay, so I've gone ahead and made a new world. This is creative super flat world. It doesn't matter that it's creative or super flat. All the properties are exactly the same that I'm going to show you today. So what you do first of all is locate your original spawn chunk. You can do it any way by killing yourself without a bed set or anything like that, and then you end up at one of the spawn chunks. See, I was just over there, and now I'm over there. And you know that that is definitely a spawn chunk. If you do it again, you can see that you're not going to spawn in exactly the same location every time. I found out that it depends how many entities are laying on the ground in the area, you're less likely to spawn in the same place. But you cannot move your spawn, you always spawn in the same radius. So what I'm going to do now is kill myself a load of times just to give you a representation of where the spawns are actually sort of spaced out. As you can see, they're distributed quite randomly, but they're all generally around a certain point. So what I'm going to do now is show you how to locate chunks themselves. If you look where the mouse is pointing now, there's a 10 and a 5 here, and these are showing you what block you are within a chunk. So we got some wall here. I want to be going to a 0, 0 point. So this is the corner of one chunk. This is the corner of another chunk. So if we get another colour here, and I'll just switch this up a bit. So there's another chunk on that corner, another one on this one. So these are all corners of chunks. Now if you go from the 0, 0 point, we want to go to 15, 15. So I'll go to the pink one. So if you look, it's going up, 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 and 15, 15 is there. So what you can do is just match these up. On this corner over here, it will be 0, 15, just like so. And you can match these up now. So what I'm going to do is outline a couple of chunks here, just to show you, and you'll see that all of the depths are quite close to each other inside the original chunks. So, I'll be back in a second. So, as an example, I've mapped out some of the chunks. Now, what you need to do is find out all of the chunks that are in your spawn chunks. So then we start playing with the properties of them. And you can use a really simple property of spawn chunks, and this is that items despawn within spawn chunks. Same way as they would despawn next to you as a player. So what we're going to do is use both these properties to work out where the edges of the spawn chunks are. So we're in, look at X is 750-ish. I'm going to drop items in a long stream and keep going that way, and I'll go probably 400 blocks. And then what we're going to do is wait over 400 blocks away and wait for the items next to us to despawn with the 5-minute despawn timer. And then in that time, all the ones in this chunks will also despawn. So then when we fly back over, we can see where the items are in the chunks in between, which are unloaded chunks. And then we can see where they join to this one here. And where they start despawning around these one here, then we can then map out the sides of the spawn chunks. Does it sound complicated? Well, I'm going to show you in a minute, and we'll see a nice example of how to do this. So, the stream's done, and they're only low enemy range. So around me in a 1 to 8 radius with the normal loaded chunks, these items will despawn within 5 minutes, and hopefully we can then go over there and see where they haven't despawned, work it out. So I'm going to give you a little flyby once these are despawned in a second. Okay, the items next to me are now despawned, so all we can do is fly backwards now, and soon, once we moved 128 blocks, we'll see that items are reappearing on the floor. Make sure I'm nice and low to see them as I fly past. And then we want to then, see we are, that's 128 blocks from where we were, that's the natural despawn around me. These are now in unloaded chunks, so that their timers are only activating again now that I'm here. These will stay here forever otherwise. So I'm going to go to the end of this bit here now, and we'll get to a point where they will just stop. And that's the important part. Don't worry about the chunks loading. It's just because Fraps is on. And here we are. So these items are stopped here. So those are on there. So we're just going to say that's a corner. and also you'll see that on the numbers up here, this is a 15, this is a 0, so this chunk here is different from this chunk here. So the edge of the boundary will be here. So what I'm going to do now is just draw a line over there, and then we'll do this the same for each side and each corner, and work out how far all this chunk size goes. So now what you're looking at is the perimeter of the spawn chunks. This is a 12 by 12 square, 144 chunks, and as you can see, our starting spawn there where the holes are roughly in the middle of these spawn chunks, with a little bit of variation. So you'll know when you do spawn you're roughly in the middle, although it's a little bit over the edge. Anyway, this is 144 chunks, which are always loaded in single player, as this is currently running single player as of 1.4.5. Obviously it's probably going to stay the same for quite a while. So anytime you're playing Minecraft, there is at least 144 chunks that are always loaded. I don't know if this was true before 1.3. I don't know if this has changed when we went on to the 1.3 server side for LAN support and such. But that also means that the game is always loading up to 36,864 blocks at all times, because this does go up to maximum build height as well, and I will show that in a minute just for your own satisfaction that you know it's true. And these are just marking out the different chunks, and they do go up to exact chunks, so it's definitely where the spawn chunks are. So I'm going to show you the maximum build height, showing you that it does go all the way to the top, and then I'll move on to its fun properties. Okay, so this is one below maximum build height, so I cannot place a block on top of that. So I can throw items on here. The black bit here, it should be within the spawn chunks, the red bit should be outside. So I'm just going to spray a ton of items over the whole thing and go away, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the results. So back in a sec. And as we go back now, we'll just go up to maximum height again on the pillar. Now, hopefully, for our sake, then there'll be no blocks on the red ones, but there will be blocks. No, there won't be blocks on the black ones, but there will be blocks on the red ones. Moment of truth. I'd say that's pretty definite. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So, I hope you believe me there now. This goes up to maximum build height, and there is 144 spawn blocks. Chunks, that is. So next, I'm going to show you the properties of these spawn chunks. I'm going to set up a couple of demonstrations, and hopefully I'll teach you quite a few things about this. Even for people that do a lot of Minecraft, and for a technical Minecraft, this might be new to some people. So, back in a second. Okay, so the next thing is that entities do not update when you're not here. So this isn't about the item entities, these are the loading entities with the plants, vines. So I set up a few things here. These will spread when I'm here, the trees would grow and all this. So I'm going to go now, see what it's like now. I've set up command blocks so I can get back and forth quickly. So I'm going to wait here for a good 20 minutes just to make sure, and then we're going to go back there and then see if there's any change at all. So back in a sec. Okay, so I've been a good while now. We're going to go back and see if anything's changed. Nope, nothing. This is what did disappoint me about spawn chunks when I tried to do AFK farms in spawn on my Let's Play. Nothing changes. No blocks update. When I said entities before, it's not quite really how it should have been called. They're block updates, so no blocks get updated. See, one just grew now because we're here. And the next cool thing is, if I break this tree and leave the leaves will not despawn. So I'll just show you that very quickly now. So last one gone. And let's wait here for a moment while I talk to you next bit. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to do an AFK stream, and then how mobs interact with spawn chunks, and how they interact with the player, because this is really interesting stuff that I didn't know either. So I'll just pause here for a second and then we'll go back. A couple minutes later, and nothing's despawned, just as I said. And now it'll start despawning now. You see a couple of leaves have started to disappear. There you are. So you can see how fast it would have gone. So definitely wasn't active. So the next thing I'm going to show you is the AFK stream. Now a lot of people you would have seen in the Let's Plays talk about this, and I've used this in my Let's Play as well. It's a very cool thing to do with spawn chunks. So all I'm going to do is set up a stream going from the active here to the non-active here, and then I use the TPing away, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how it works. So back in a sec. Okay, so set up an AFK stream. All this is one of these with ice underneath and half slabs when the water runs out or beforehand. So if I throw an item here, you'll see it whiz along and keep going. It will keep going as long as you have one of these set up until it hits an unloaded chunk. So what we have here is these ones are active all the time. These ones are only active when I'm near it. So if I set off the circuit, which I just lazily set up a pulse to a dispenser with items in, and over here I set up some command blocks which will basically set off a just saying that an item's touched it when it comes along. So what I'm going to do is set off this pulse, and this dispenser has the items. So the redstone you already know works in spawn chunks, and we'll see the items moving in spawn chunks, and if it gets to the outside then it would have loaded and that means it doesn't work. But what we want to do is hit this on, TP away, and then it won't give us the alert. And then we'll come back, and when we do, we then load up the radius around us. So that is within 128 blocks of me. Then it will then move the item out of the unloaded chunk onto the pressure plates. So off we go with this. That's just their lock. So I'm going to set that off. That's going. That's ready to set a pulse to the other side. The pulse will be now getting to the dispenser. So if it doesn't turn on the next couple of seconds, then it's not going to at all. And then we'll go back and we'll see. As you can see, the block is on for the command block for the time, but we haven't had anything saying it's been touched. So we go back now, and within a couple of seconds, once it's moved to the end, there you are. See, that distance there is very short. If you sit here, this only takes a moment to get across. So we definitely were there longer than we needed to, as you'll see from a little example as I talk. So the next thing is to show you about the only entities that actually are valid in spawns. As you can see, that's how long it would have taken. So I'll turn this off now, and we'll look at something that I've shown on my Let's Play a few times, and this is one of the only useful farming things that you actually have for spawning chunks, and this is chickens. It seems because chickens jump around in water, and that's how you make the eggs move. You can move them other ways as well, of course, but I'll set up a simple thing here showing that eggs are produced while you're not in the spawn chunks. So chickens themselves update, but there's a thing with that. With chickens, you have to be in their radius for 5 minutes before they start laying their first egg. So if you come here for 5 minutes and they start laying, and then I move out, then they'll keep laying all the time until I log out. When I log back in again, I have to return to spawn chunks to then activate them for 5 minutes, and then it starts again. So first I want to show you the AFK part of this. Set up a little egg thing here, and then I'll be back. Okay, so chicken farm set up. You can see my Minecraft style is impeccable, and there's a lot of chickens in there. That's why it's a big one. It's about just under 200, and you'll see that they poop out eggs pretty often. They're still getting going, I think. They're still growing as well, and they put the eggs down here, and they end up over here onto the pressure plates, same as before. So what we're going to do is now leave here. We're going to go all the way over there again, and then come back, and there should be a whole pile of eggs there. And that's the principle for all AFK streams. They're very noisy, because the chickens will not grow. The entities themselves do not update themselves, which is weird. So the chickens won't grow that are small, but they will keep laying eggs if they can lay eggs. So I'm going to go over there now, and then come back in a few minutes, and there should be a whole pile of eggs waiting there for us. So back in a sec. Okay, some time's passed now and I'm ready to go back. So hopefully there'll be a large amount of eggs, as these chickens do keep pooping it out. So let's see. Yeah, that's some eggs. There's even some glitched out eggs. Nice. So yes, they definitely work when we're not here. So the next thing to show you is going to relate to what you saw right at the beginning. So first I'm going to block this area off. And I'm going to put in a nether portal here. And this is pretty cool stuff. So if you want to set up any sort of farm, either in any chunk or a spawn chunk, you can do this. So I'm going to light this portal now, and hopefully it doesn't melt that. It might. So all these items are going to go through the portal, and then go into nether. Now I've not even generated nether here yet. Some egg on the side. So this might lag me a bit when I go through. But I'm going to go through now. And now that the chickens are still active, a little bit of nether lag here, but what happens here is there's going to be eggs coming through still. Once I let it load, there you are. So this works as a pretty cool thing. So this is an AFK stream to a nether. You may have heard about this as well. So these eggs go here and bunch up. I can make a hole there and you can have them all going in. There you are. So that's a cool thing to have. And the bug with portals and spawn chunks means that if I break this portal and hit his eggs, then you'll see eggs are still popping through. And the bug is if they come through within 30 seconds of it being the previous one, then basically, put it bluntly, the portal is still registered as being there. If they get attached every 30 seconds or less, then it still thinks the portal is going to be there. If I log out and log back in, the portal will stop. So that's just a little effect of that. That's what we saw at the beginning, so with creepers. So if I light this again, I'm going to show you a couple of things with this. So that these items coming out this side, as you can see, if I block these up here, it will show that the entities cannot move out that way, so they start coming out the other way, which is quite a cool thing to have. So you don't need to change the portal around directional wise, you don't need to muck around with changing a base so that it goes out the other side. You can just block it up the other side. It doesn't do anything else. So that's a cool thing to have. And the next thing we're going to look at is mobs that do work in the overworld, and also how I did the beginning thing. So back in a sec. Okay, so now we look at the next part, and I've got two things to test at once for you guys to make it quicker. Kill the chickens so they're not hopping around so much, and all I've done here is set up a clock going to some dispensers here. These dispensers have creepers. These are going to go into another portal and we're going to see the entities move through. Now mob entities, if they are spawned unnaturally, then they are active and they can push by water and things. Over here we're going to look at entities that are not being spawned manually, so they'll be spawned by the actual game itself rather than the player. So this is on a little pressure pads here, and if one says anything, so if one spawns, we'll get that little message saying there's a mob, and we know that works from before. So I'm going to go into the nether and just turn this clock on. So it's going to start firing these, and if I go on to easy, they'll start coming through like so. We'll go through. No message yet for anything about the mobs in the room. So these creepers will keep coming through. Just like so. Very nice. See, mobs are active once they're spawned, but mobs are only going to spawn relative to the player. So they'll only spawn within 128 blocks of the player itself, or 144, whichever one it is now. So that's why they're not spawning at spawn, even though the spawn is active. So we'll just finish off today, I think, by showing you how I did the first part. So all you need to do is that, and these mobs will keep coming through as long as the timer is active. And there you are. Very nice. So I think that's filled up most things that I wanted to cover today. Nice long video, very technical. If there's anything I've missed, then mention it and I'll put it in the description. And if you have any questions, mention it as well. And if you haven't seen anything like this before, or you want to see more, I don't normally ask for likes and things, but if you want to hit me up with one, then that'd be great. If you haven't seen my Let's Play, then I'd love to look at that as well, this sort of style that I play it in. So, anyway, I think we're going to finish here. Thank you very much for joining me, guys, and I'll see you next time.